Welcome to the final part of our rigging series. In this section, we've reached the most exciting stage, a fully functional Rigify setup. What you're seeing on screen right now is the completed rig, clean, responsive, and ready for animation. Everything we've done so far, from preparing the model, aligning the bones, and setting up deformation, has led to this moment. By the end of this lesson, your character will be completely ready to pose, animate, and bring to life. Let's dive in and finish strong. If you followed the last tutorial, this is exactly where we left off, after posing our character. We won't be using the current bones you see on the screen, so I'll clear them out and start fresh with a new skeleton setup. If this is your first time watching, feel free to check out the earlier videos in the playlist to see how we got here. But if your character is already modeled and ready for rigging, you can skip ahead to the part where we begin adding the new rig. All right, let's get into it. Press 1 to go to the front view and make sure you're in pose mode. Press A to select the entire bone, then Alt-R to clear all rotation and Alt-G to clear all positioning. Now we need to clear the parenting, because right now if we move the skeleton, the character follows along. We want to remove that link, so go back to object mode, select the head of the character. You can see the dotted line showing that it's parented. Press Alt-P, then select Clear Parent. Now, if you move the skeleton, the head stays in place, which means we've cleared the parenting. Do the same for the body, hands, neck, and legs. Select each and press Alt-P, Clear Parent. Now, the skeleton should move independently while the character stays in position. We can now hide the skeleton since we no longer need it. Select the entire mesh and press Ctrl-A, apply rotation and scale. If you're skipping the beginning and starting here, make sure to apply rotation and scale as well. Next, make sure your character's face orientation is correct. Go to Object Mode Solid View, Overlays, Face Orientation. If you see any red areas, that means the normals are flipped. Select the character, press Tab to go into Edit Mode, press A to select everything, then Alt-N, flip. Now the mesh should show blue or gray in newer versions. Turn off face orientation when done. So to summarize, apply rotation and scale, and make sure your face orientation is outward. For this character, we have three separate parts: the head, the body, and the limbs. The head and body won't deform, only the arms, legs, and neck will. Before adding bones, let's fix some geometry. The arms and legs are too close to the edges, which can cause problems when bending. Go to Edit Mode, Wireframe View, turn on X Mirror, select the edges of the arms, press G+X, and move them slightly inward. Add 4 edge loops on the arms and 5 edge loops on the legs to allow smoother deformation. Now everything should bend properly. Apply rotation and scale again just to be safe. Ctrl-A. Now let's add the bones. Press Shift-A, Armature, Rigify, Meta-Rig, Human. If you don't see Rigify, go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, search for Rigify, enable it, and save your settings. Back to the 3D viewport. Press Shift-A. Select Armature, Rigify, Meta-Rig, Human. Select the new rig. Go to Object Data Properties and enable In Front so the bones are visible through the mesh. Scale and position the rig so that the base of the neck bone sits around the clavicle area. Now press Tab to go into edit mode. Turn on X-axis mirror so both sides update together. Delete unnecessary bones, like the breastbones and all face bones. Notice how I always use box select. I encourage you to use box select when working with bones to ensure every bone you intend to select is actually selected. Go to Wireframe View. Select the face bone hidden underneath the head bone. Press X and delete the face bone. Once that's done, adjust the head bone. Move the tail slightly above the head and the base around the middle of the neck. Adjust the leg bones. Move them along the X-axis until they fit properly inside the legs. Box select the bottom spine and pelvis bones as shown, and move them upward. Try to position the bones roughly where I'm placing them if you're working with the same character. Notice where I'm positioning the head bone for the legs. This determines exactly where the leg will bend. Reposition the knee bone and maintain a slight bend so Blender knows which direction the knees should bend. Finally, move the ankle, toe, and heel bones into place. All I'm doing is making box selections, pressing G to grab, and moving the bones into position. Align the wrist, elbow, and shoulder joints correctly. For the hands, move the shoulder and arm bones outward so they align with the model's arms. Use box select when adjusting bones to keep the head and tail connected. For the fingers, adjust each bone chain to match the finger's curves. Use box select, and make sure bones form a slight downward arc. If a bone separates accidentally, fix it by selecting the tip bone. Press Shift-S, cursor to selected, then select the next bone and Shift-S, selection to cursor. Check the alignment from front, side, and top views. Repeat adjustments for all fingers. Once everything looks good, press Alt-H to unhide all bones, and both sides should now be symmetrical. Again, all I'm doing is making box selections, pressing G to grab, and moving the bones into position. I will repeat the process of grabbing and readjusting the bones for the fingers until I have each finger bone properly positioned inside its corresponding finger. The finger bones should have a slight arc or curl, similar to the natural resting position of our fingers. Once you've adjusted the fingers from both the top and side views, box select a few fingers and press H to hide them. This lets you focus on specific fingers without distractions. When you're done working on that finger, press Alt-H to unhide the hidden fingers. Repeat this process until all fingers are properly adjusted. I'll speed this up so you don't have to sit through these repetitive steps. Since we turned on X Mirror, the left side should already be ready as well. Go back to Object Mode. Now, press Ctrl-A, apply rotation and scale, then go to Object Data Properties, Generate Rig. If everything was done correctly, you'll get a new generated rig around your character. In the outliner, find and hide the meta rig. We don't need it anymore. Now we'll parent the meshes, the head to the head bone, the body to the chest bone, the arms, legs, and neck to the rig with automatic weights. Select the deforming meshes, arms, legs, neck. Shift-select the rig, then Ctrl-P with automatic weights. Next, parent the head to the head bone manually. Select the rig, go to Edit Mode, select the head bone, go back to Object Mode, select the head mesh, Shift-select the rig, then Ctrl-P, Bone Relative. Select the rig, press Ctrl-Tab to go to Pose Mode, and try to rotate the head. You'll see the head follows the rig. Now let's parent the chest to the chest bone. Go back to Object Mode, select the rig, then go to Edit Mode. Locate and select the chest bone. If you've selected the correct one, the Bone Properties panel should display Chest. Return to Object Mode, select the mesh of the chest, Shift-select the rig, then press Ctrl-P and choose Bone Relative. Now our character is fully rigged. go to Pose Mode, select the Torso controller, and press G to grab or R to rotate to see how it controls your character. Now let's see how this rig works. If you select the Torso controller, press G to grab and move it upward. You'll notice the legs and hands stretch. You might want this effect for your character, but I'll show you how to disable it for this setup. Make sure you're still in Pose Mode. Press N to open the side panel, then select the Item tab. Scroll down to the section that contains the Rigify rig controls. We'll turn off some of these options. Toggle through each control to understand what they do, then disable the ones you don't need. You can now see the rig looking much cleaner and easier to manage. Next, let's get rid of the stretching in the arms and legs. Select the hand controller, go to the panel, and where it says IK stretch, turn that value down to 0. Do the same for the left hand, right leg, and left leg. All should be set to 0. Now try moving your character upward again, and you'll see that it no longer stretches. If you turn on X mirroring, it allows you to pose or control parts of your character symmetrically so that both sides move the same way. Notice that when I turn it off again, the left hand moves independently of the right hand. Test the entire rig to see what controls what. If you select the hand control, press G and move your mouse to pose it. Do the same for the leg. Select the leg control, press G, and move your mouse around to pose it. For the neck and head, press R to reposition them. Basically, some controls require you to press R to rotate and others G to move. Try both commands to see what works for each part. To clear all rotations, positions, and scales, while in pose mode, select the entire rig by pressing A, then press Alt-R, Alt-G, and Alt-S. Now let's put our character in a sitting pose and clench the fingers. For the fingers, press S to scale and curl them into a fist, then press R to rotate for a tighter curl. Congratulations if you made it this far in the course. Your character is now fully rigged and ready for animation. In the next class, we'll create a walk cycle to complete this course. See you there.